Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This one is coming from Justin Riley. I was wondering if you had thoughts on a recent Variety article talking about how Netflix shows, even their hits like Squid Game, tend to fizzle out shortly after release. Do you think this is an issue they need to address?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Justin. And you know what? I feel like this is a topic that comes up a lot, which is the whole debate. We're still in the middle of it all. To me, the debate's done, but there are still a lot of people holding on to this. The debate of what is the better release strategy for streaming? Week-to-week releases or dropping the whole season at once? I have made the argument for a long time that while I personally really do like binging, I'm a binger. You know, a show drops, I want to sit down, I want to power all the way through it, right? That's kind of what I do. But there is no question anymore. Study after study after study has shown that if you are a streamer, releasing your content week after week is what will yield you your best results. We go back, of course, and we look at something like WandaVision, which the first couple of episodes started very modestly. By the fifth week, it was the number one show in the world because people saw it, buzzed about it for a week. And then there's another new episode the following week. More people buzzed about it. Other people haven't seen it yet. Hear the buzz about it. They start watching. And then the hype starts up again the following week. Hell, we on this show are always talking about game day because we know every week we get new Peacemaker. We get new whatever it is that's playing at the moment, right? So we've seen that over and over and over again. But now there's another new study that has come out that is basically saying what I think a lot of us probably already knew. The Netflix shows, and remember, primarily, they have some that are exceptions like Arcane, but primarily, Netflix takes their seasons of television, drop them all at once. What this new study is showing is that these shows, while very popular at first, almost instantly die. That nobody is watching them in the second month. Like they get all their viewership in that 1 month, and then it dies. And nobody talks about it anymore. We talked about this before. It's like I remember when Punisher season 2 came out. I love Punisher season 2. And everybody talked about it for 3 or 4 days. And then nobody talked about it again. Nobody asked any questions about it. Nobody sent in any topics about it. None of my friends brought it up. We talked about it like crazy for the first week. And then it was gone. It just disappeared. WandaVision, we talked about for months. Mandalorian season 1, we talked about for months. Mandalorian season 2, we talked about for months. And that's that. But here's some interesting things that come out of this particular study. This comes to us from Variety. This is the wrong one. There it is. This comes to us from Variety. He writes, virtually all of the 10 most viewed new Netflix titles of 2021 among TV Time app users saw self-reported viewership in the TV Time app significantly slow after their debut month. For example, 73% of the global TV Time app users who've noted watching Squid Game in TV Time as of January 14th did so in the first month following the Korean series debut. Just 20% of the total self-reported viewing that Squid Game had received in TV Times as of January 14th happened in the second month following the show's premiere. How rapidly these series lose their steam among viewers has to be considered a factor in how much the Los Gatos-based streamer, that's Netflix, has to spend on original programming to supply that need to be constantly replenished to deliver the hits required to attract subscribers. Wells Fargo anticipates that Netflix will spend, get this, $19 billion in cash on content this year. They will spend $19 billion in content this year. And the reason they have to spend $19 billion is because their shows have no shelf life. They come, they hit quick, and they get out. Sounds like Ray's dating profile. Comes, hits quick.
Wow.
I don't know why I said
pleasures.
that.
No.
I instantly regret saying that. But at any rate. But that's the thing. There is no longevity. And here's the thing. The longer shows are being watched, the more new audiences are attracted to it. That's why when WandaVision came out, its numbers started low. But it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people got attracted to the show. So by the time you peaked into its third month, it was hitting the biggest numbers it ever had. And Disney didn't have to put out nearly as much new original content as Netflix did. Therefore, Netflix has to spend more money to compensate for this. Now, I still want to see more than one Disney Plus premium TV series running at a time, because right now they only do one at a time. It's either like a Star Wars show or it's a Marvel show, and they only run them one at a time. I like to see them doing I'd like to have 2 days a week that I can look forward to a premium content, but whatever. The point is that this is yet another big log of information that's come in to show that this release strategy of dropping your entire season at once, regardless of how much you and I may scream at the screen saying, but I like watching it that way. I get it. But it doesn't change anything.
You could.
You still
You
can.
could
You
just
can wait
wait.
till the series done,
Yeah.
then watch it all later if you want. But it just, again, it shows that and that's why I still believe within about 3 years, I think you're really going to see Netflix really starting to transition, get a little bit more selective about how much crap they crank out, go to a weekly or even like a modified hybrid thing like they did with Arcane. 3 episodes one week, 3 episodes the next week, 3 episodes the next. I mean, you could even do that. That's fine too. That's good. But give your shows the opportunity to build an audience. That is what HBO does, and it works. That's what Disney Plus is doing, and it works. Netflix, they hit hard and then they disappear. They fizzle. As it says in the thing, it sizzles. It goes from sizzle to fizzle quickly. And that's not a good long-term strategy. And it means you got to pay more and more and more. And even though they're doing all that paying, Rob, you brought it the other day, their stock prices are starting to drop. And I think this is the way to address it. Anyway, Rob, we've had this conversation many times over the years.
It's true.
What do you think about this new piece of information? Was that kind of reaffirmed for you, or what new bits does it bring up for you?
Well, look, I'm fascinated by the whole streaming wars idea the way it is, because we've talked about on the show that the streamers are spending 100% to 150% of their subscriptions on content. It's unsustainable. They can't. And there's only so many people in the world. There's a finite number of resources that they're going to be spending money on, and they're eventually going to top out. You can't get 1 billion or 2 billion or 3 billion subscribers because there's just people that don't have access or whatever. But that said, all of pop culture, when TV shows end, like, who talks about Game of Thrones anymore? It was the biggest show ever. Maybe people will talk about how it ended, but it's gone. I remember X-Files was like biggest thing in the world. 9 seasons, it disappears. In the case of Netflix, it doesn't go over seasons. It goes over a week. Like, I was so excited for Ozark season 4. Elizabeth and I tore through those episodes, and I'm like, it's in and out of my mind. I loved it. It was like snorting 2 beautiful fatty rails of pure uncut Peruvian flake, right? And you're just like, yeah. And you have a great night. You wake up the next morning a little hungover, but it's done.
I paid for this nose. I don't know about that life.
I mean, you're on to the next. You are on to the next. It's over. The thing is over. And what people like right now, there's a new Korean series called All of Us Are Dead. It's like 13 episodes long. The whole thing is set at a school. I don't know how they can sustain 13 hours at a school, but the first episode was great. And so I will binge that, and then it will be done. And the experience is over. Now, I think what's interesting is if you extend it by a month or 2, you still wind up with the same problem because people will watch the show and then they're done. You ride that wave. Squid Game was the biggest show in the world. Everybody's talking about it. But when you're done, it's kind of over.
Right. But the question becomes, how much benefit will you get from Will you get 1 month of benefit, or will you get 2 or 3 months of benefit because of this?
Yeah, the real question is, how many new subscribers do you get?
Yeah, that's ultimately the question.
And that's what I really wonder. And for you and I think Netflix is terrific because I can explore Netflix forever. There's nothing to watch. There is, though. There's foreign shows. There's documentaries. I mean, I started watching the Great British Bake Off or baking show. I loved it. Then I realized, the same people did the ceramic show on HBO Max. So I go over there, and I'm like, I've been watching these Great British whatever you're going to make. I mean, and it's you have all seasons there. So I think the secret of Netflix is going to be to get people to come back and figure out how people can watch shows that are already on Netflix that they don't know they'd like.
And
that's the future of Netflix.
It brings up the other part too about the longevity and the fact that when you give a show an opportunity to build momentum and get traction. So like WandaVision was growing, and like as you got into week 2 and 3 and 4 and people kept talking and talking and talking, then people were like, well, I guess I got to sign up to Disney Plus. And if they didn't then they heard everybody talking about it again on week 5, and they were, well, I guess now I got to sign up to Disney Plus. And you had all that, whereas you're pointing out, you drop it all at once, you watched it, you're done, you moved on, you're not talking about it anymore to all your friends and families for 6 weeks to gain those new subscribers.
Right. No, it's true. Although, I mean, then there's something new. Like, I watched, and so what do you do? I mean, ultimately what's going to happen is they can't sustain the amount of money they're spending on these shows. They can't spend, what did you say, 18 billion?
19 billion.
19 billion. Oof. They can't sustain that. Their shareholders are going to be like, yo, give us a little bit more of a taste. I mean, you're spending all of the money on these programs. Where's our dividends? Where's our, how are we going to make some money here?
Is that why we don't see a lot of marketing for their shows?
Because there's just so much of it.
No, or they spend so much money on the content that they don't have money to market. Like that show you just mentioned, like we don't see commercials of.
No, all of us are dead.
Yeah,
like nobody. I saw a commercial, like they put up like one trailer, but beyond that, where do you see, unless you're watching? Like I now look out for Netflix show trailers. Like I'll write Netflix Korea. That's, suddenly when I saw the Hellbound trailers, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta see that. And then Hellbound comes out, it's over. Like you binge it in a day, and then you're done. Oh, yeah. It's like Netflix Korea horror.
I've never
and then
seen
it's like all of us are dead.
Promotion on TV at all, like for Netflix.
Well, a lot of networks won't allow advertising for another network.
Yeah.
On the thing.
And also,
but again, it goes back to the thing that because you're just dropping it all, and then it's the conversation's done week, you got to put out so much content that I actually do think, Ray, that's a probably one of the big reasons why they're so bad at marketing the materials, because they've got so much stuff coming out, they don't know where to put their marketing dollars.
No, and I really do think people tell me that they see, like when I turn on my Netflix, I don't see trailers.
Yeah.
Do you see trailers?
No.
Nope. They do the other stuff. Chris, you're seeing all this. What do you make of all this?
Well, I mean, kind of bouncing off what Rob's saying too. And when they do suggest something for you to watch after you finish something, it's not always relevant. Where it'll be like, hey, you just watched this. You just watched Miraculous Tales of Ladybug. Why don't you get into Narcos? I'm like, what? These seem different. But it is so very set it and forget it when you binge it, because, I watched the newest season of You in a day. And
Right.
And then I never spoke about it again till this moment.
And a week goes by and you've completely forgot what happened.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you were talking about the kind of mixed version of like Arcane or Apple TV's doing that too, where with the After Party, they drop 3 episodes so that you get the rhythm of the show. You understand what you're coming in for.
Anna's obsessed with that show, by the way.
So good.
I just watched an episode last night. You only get one shot twice.
Yes.
By John Ralphio. I was here, Ben Schwartzman. Oh my God, that is one of my favorite songs of the year. You only get one shot twice.
He to me is Tom Hanks is to Anne. I love him.
You guys just need to slow down on your watching. Like I was telling Rob, I just finished For All of Mankind season 2, and I watch one episode every day.
How would we be good pundits if we don't know what the hell's on TV?
I'm just saying, I don't need to rush. I'll sleep through a couple episodes and just go back. It's a monthly viewing for me.
Monthly viewing. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this new report? Maybe you're like me and you kind of, as a viewer, you like binging, but maybe you're also like, yeah, but if I'm a business guy, there are clearly more benefits for putting out week to week. How do you guys see all this? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.